like just going back to size again, some recent stats from 2020, which is 5 years ago now, but the average standalone house in Australia is at 235.8 square metres and trending upwards. So the average of all home types, so that includes apartments and what have you, is 195.8 square metres, still huge. When we look at the average number of occupants per house, there's all different types of family makeups, but the average overall is 2.6 people, and that's trending downwards.
Yep.
So our houses are getting bigger, the number of people living there are getting less. So with those two figures I gave, on average, that's 75 square metres per person. So everyone in that house
mind-boggling, isn't
has to themselves 75 square metres.
Yeah.
But if you consider, okay, we're a family, 2 kids, mum and dad, we reasonably like each other's company, we can all be having dinner together, we're all in, one room, and there's like 200 square metres all around us, which are unused, unoccupied. Yeah. I think we can do with living, get by, in much smaller footprints, and
get by comfortably. And I think it's a matter of adjusting expectations. It's also a matter of clever design choices, like not spending floor space on corridors unnecessarily and that kind of thing, which feels obvious to me, but perhaps it's not obvious. Yes, I did a few issues ago. We had to focus on clever small design, and one of the experts that I consulted was basically saying that about 30 square metres per person is plenty.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not plenty. Very adequate.
Yeah.
30 to 40, depending on the size of your family, and that's what we lived in the past, and that's what plenty of cultures in Europe still kind of expect to be normal or even generous. Plenty of families live in apartments.
So do you think there's been
in European cities?
Yeah, do you think there's been maybe a shift in what we consider to be luxury?
Yeah, I think
maybe
so.
More particularly with your kind of readership, what they consider to be luxury. If they're fortunate enough at all to be building a new home or doing a renovation or addition, what do they think is going to be the luxury, what they want to achieve?
I think that our readership, our dedicated readership, I would say that for them luxury is comfort and low bills.
In terms of
thermal, physical comfort of the space, achieved with minimal energy input, minimal heating and active heating and cooling. And I think that more and more people are starting to realise that that's, especially after COVID, when we all spent so much more time at home, and with rising energy bills, I think more and more people are actually realising, there's another way of doing it. We can actually have a house that's comfortable without running the heating all day, every day, the air conditioning, depending on the season, and with a commensurate drop in our energy bills. That's achievable. And because I think when mechanical heating and air conditioning became available, we used to know this stuff about design, and we forgot, or we put it aside because you could just put a heater or an air conditioner in and run it all day, and the house would be comfortable inside.
With relatively cheap energy.
Or with gas.
Yeah.
Which, when Sanctuary was first published 20 years ago, we were still promoting gas.
Absolutely.
It was the sort of cheaper alternative, the more efficient cost-wise alternative. So that's another big shift, actually, is that these days we basically don't profile new builds that have connected gas, because we the research that Renew's done over the years showed that there were there's a even from a carbon emissions point of view, of course, and from a cost point of view as well, it just doesn't make sense really anywhere in Australia anymore to connect gas to a new build. And we are also encouraging everybody doing a renovation to consider getting off gas. It's something we have to do that to decarbonise our grid. And sure, especially in Victoria where we are, the electricity grid is still pretty carbon intensive, but at least there's a possibility, and that it is happening, that's decarbonising. Not probably quick enough, but it's also possible to have, carbon-free, effectively carbon-free electricity, whereas gas is gas is gas. And yeah.
I think you're starting to answer some of my next question, which is, do you think better building design and construction methods in our homes has the ability to make an impact on the challenges that we're facing with climate change and degradation of the environment?
Of course. I think the Australian construction industry, or the built environment industry, it contributes something like 40% of Australia's carbon emissions. I think I have that figure about right. So that is a huge chunk. Yeah. And it is a chunk that we individual people can do something about. We all have a house of some sort, whether it's our own or whether we rent it or whatever, or most of us. Housing crisis is a thing as well. But it is an area that many of us can influence. And also, if we are building or doing a major renovation, that's for most of us, that is the major project that we will do in our lifetimes in terms of expenditure and in terms of the number of choices that you make about design and materials and so forth. So yes, absolutely, we can make a difference, and we can make a difference in all sorts of ways. What I just mentioned about not using gas in your house is just one, really.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't that long ago, as you said, where cooking with gas was a lot more commonplace, and the idea of getting someone to think about using electric induction rather than a gas hob they've always been used to was very difficult to get people to make that kind of change. Like, it was very foreign. Maybe they're thinking about the old electric induction kind of hot plate that you would get in like an electric element.
Yeah.
You would get like
which
in a caravan
horrible
park
to cook on, to be fair.
and use a hell of a lot of power as well.
Yeah.
But now you think about it, it's like, how archaic is it to have like an open flame in your kitchen?
There are plenty of people who are still very, very into it, and
possibly with a gas leak that you don't know about.
And it's not great for the indoor air quality. It's not great for health. If any of your family's got health issues, it's not for like breathing issues. It's not great for that. And yeah, it's a naked flame, which is. I mean, we moved over to induction and then left that house and lived in a rental for a while that had gas cooking, and I had to teach my kids all over again how to be safe around the gas flame, because we'd all got used to cooking on induction, and it's so much safer, especially for kids. But I mean, that's an example of a technology that has recently become much more available and more affordable, is induction cooking. I mean, 20 years ago it didn't exist really, and so the early models were very expensive, very hard to get hold of and so forth. But I do think that we've reached the tipping point for induction cooking now, and changing over from gas to induction can be a bit costly. But if you're building a new house or putting in a new kitchen, then there's no excuse really.
It's barely a question. It's barely a question.
No.
I think there's more of a question these days around, will we go off-grid or not? So given that land is becoming a bit more scarce, it used to be that maybe a cheap bit of land, it was that way because there were no services available, and that wasn't seen as very attractive to a potential home builder. Oh, we don't want that. There's no services. That's going to be like archaic living. We don't want that. But now I see those blocks of land as being, like if the cost between connecting to the nearest power pole versus going off-grid is going to be similar or close, definitely consider going off-grid.
Yeah, I mean, the systems, it's another space where the systems and technology has improved a lot and come down a bit in price.
Do you think people are less fearful with...
It's a lot more mainstream these days, being off-grid. I think back 20 or 40, 45 years ago, when our publisher Renew, used to be the Alternative Technology Association, was set up, it was very much being off-grid or own a building, whatever, was very much a DIY proposition, really. And that's another space where now there are many more commercial systems, and so it's much more accessible to more people who don't necessarily want to, build their own solar thermal hot water system on their roof using black piping. There are so many more options out there.
Yeah, and now people are also obviously considering an electric vehicle if they're going to be purchasing a new car. That's obviously something of high consideration. And then, well, how do we charge that vehicle? Yeah. But now we can also think about, can the battery in my vehicle also be powering my home?
Nearly there.
So
the technology exists.
It's driving that technology.
The technology exists for that, and I do know a lot of our readers are waiting for that to become a legislated possibility. I believe that it's but that's the hold up at the moment, is sort of legislation and rules and retailers getting on board and that kind of thing.
Two more things. Sustainable House Day. So that's an event that the ATA or Renew has been the organiser of for how long now?
Quite a long time. I mean, we took it over. We took over the running of it a few years ago, probably 10 years ago almost. And before that, it was an event that was a bit more of a cooperative community event. But yeah, we've been running it for the last few years. It went online during COVID. We had to pivot quite quickly in 2020 to it being an online-only event. Then we had a couple of years of it being a bit of a hybrid event, and then, it still is a bit of a hybrid event really, but yeah, this year, possibly last year, can't quite remember, we got back into the actual physical open homes, which is really exciting because, I mean, we're sitting in your home right now. I love this part of my job, being able to go and visit sustainable homes in person and chat to their owners and their designers, in your case, you're both. But and so I think that's a super valuable part of Sustainable House Day. The peer-to-peer learning is the key, really, which can be done online, but it's being able to go and experience in 3D a physical space and feel what it's like with maybe the weather's bad outside, if it's lovely inside, whatever. Have a look at the systems, have a look at the design, and ask the architect, designer, homeowner, builder sometimes, your questions in person. That's just an extremely valuable
I find it really interesting to see what are people in my neighbourhood doing, how are they living. Maybe they don't necessarily have like a style of house aesthetically that I'm interested in or the materials that I'm interested in, but if it's there, I want to go and see what are people doing.
Yeah.
How was their life different to mine in my old leaky Victorian weatherboard home? What could I be doing, and getting ideas? And we spoke a little bit before off camera just about how do we get people's attention, because obviously you want to sell a magazine or get people's attention on social media. It's the image, how amazing does this architecture look? But you can't really tell anything about what it's like to live in that building.
No, it's very hard.
Is it affordable to run that building? Is it comfortable all the time? But even if I've got 10 people coming to visit the house here and they can feel what it's like and you can tell them what we did to make it that way, suddenly they're less interested in what it's like. Is it award-winning architecture?
Yeah.
But are these other things actually more important?
Yeah, absolutely. It is tricky being a print publication with the focus that we have to convey that, to convey the sense of warmth coming in a north-facing window, or those things. Because of course we've just got images. Well, images first, words second, to get that idea across. But we do try in Sanctuary. We do try. We make sure that we have appealing photos, and also what we do that's different from other magazines is we provide a whole lot of concrete information for people who might want to achieve that. So whether that be product information or, along with the hopefully inspirational house profiles, we always have a lot of practical articles that contain practical advice. So that's design advice, materials advice, all the other aspects of what you need to know to design your sustainable home. And sustainability as a concept has a lot of facets as well, especially when it comes to homes. And so to a certain extent, people need to decide what their own priorities are when it comes to sustainability. as well.
Definitely, and for your budget, I mean, not everybody can.
Financial sustainability is part of it too.
Yes. Do you want to spend a whole lot of extra money up front to reduce the running costs forever of your home?
Yeah.
And to what extent do you want to do that? Versus, do we want to spend a little bit of money on something that we consider a material luxury?
Yeah.
But we don't apply that to the whole building. It's just one little thing.
I think something that a lot of people still do is only consider the upfront cost of their house and not the ongoing running costs. And I think if it was somehow easier to see the overall cost of, say, 15 years, building and running this house for 15 years, then people would be more aware of the benefits of paying an extra 10 grand now, because they can see that that'll save them 50 grand over 15 years or whatever it is.
And one of the things that I've got the ability to do in my own home is to actually monitor over the long term how the building is running. So I've got temperature sensors throughout the building. We can see how it runs compared to the outdoor temperature. Are the things that we have done worth it? And we look at that in tandem with our
especially
power
as
bill.
a designer yourself, it's definitely good to have that data to apply to designs for clients' houses.
Yeah, so are we comfortable? I know that because we live in it. I look at the temperature graphs. Yes, that matches up with what I'm experiencing. We look at our power bill. Yes, that's very low.
Yeah.
So we know that all those things definitely work and they're worth doing. Last thing, what's coming up in the mag?
What's coming up? Well, we have a couple of celebration events coming up for the 20th anniversary. It's a pretty big milestone, so that's it's going to be fun. We've got one in Sydney and one in Melbourne to share that event with our supporters and readers and contributors and so forth. I'm working on an issue. Well, the issue I'm working on right now is actually about prefab and modular, so topical that we're in your prefab SIPS house here. And then the one after that, I'm going to have a little bit of a look at backyard studios.
Wow, okay.
Which is another area, incidentally, that I think that we as Australians need to be thinking a bit more creatively about. I think there's a lot of scope for regulations building regulations to ease a bit, to make it more possible. So basically, considered, carefully designed, increased density, urban infill, that kind of thing. More possibility for people to build studios or small dwellings in their backyards, or even more than one, potentially, just because we are in a situation, in a bit of a housing crisis, housing affordability crisis as well. So anything that we can do to just change the housing, the availability of housing, the housing types, to be more flexible and to suit our households, which, as you said, are getting smaller. I think we need to be doing. And so, working on an issue which focuses a little bit on some cool backyard studios out there that are either contributing extra accommodation for a whole extra household, or just providing more flexibility for the household that lives in the main house. Maybe it avoids having to do a big extension. It's pretty cool.
And I think all those things are just as much a part of the whole sustainability equation. It's not just about what the power bills are or the temperature, but it's the resources that we're using, the actual physical land area that we're using up. Like
and
a lot
how
of those
cleverly
things
we're using it. Yeah.
Yes, and not just looking at the short term.
Yeah.
If we're going to spend any energy or money or resources at all on building something, let's make some good decisions so this will be as useful now as it will be in 20 years from now.
Yes, and useful for our family structure now in this way, and useful for our possible family structure in 10 years in a different way. And
But also as a legacy for future users, like we mentioned before, when you're building, don't worry so much about the next people or resale. But if you are thinking about how comfortable it's going to be and how easy it's going to be to live here and cheap to run, that is good for the next people.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that is something that you, as a future home purchaser, should be looking at those things rather than how many bathrooms it has and things like that.
Yeah.
Like, look at the power bills. Be educated by reading Renew and Sanctuary magazines, so you can walk in there,
and
have an idea of which direction is north in this house, and go, oh yeah, you've got some north-facing windows in the living area. You actually have some thermal mass, or there are some things set up in this house which are going to be not too difficult for us to retrofit to improve.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Anna Cumming, thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure.